Okay, we're going to start this event. I'm going to ask you to stand up, and we're going to do 1 minute of silence, honoring all of our dead, all of the people that died in the invasion, and also all of those that have died since. 1 minute of silence, please. Thank you. Now we're going to do the invocation. Father Alberto Garcia, who's a schoolmate of ours, a Jesuit, is going to...
¿Español o inglés?
Inglés. Como tú quieras.
Good morning. An architect can dream a project and can design it, and the constructor can form a team to make that project a reality. But what we're celebrating here is the construction of a place that is going to be a meeting place, a place where we can meet each other, remember, so that we can honor those who came before us. So we ask the Lord to help us and to bring us together this morning, and so we ask the Lord to bless us in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to be very brief. It's 1961, and a group of young men carrying on their backs the dreams of freedom stormed the beaches of Girón and Playa Larga, and they died in the beaches, they die in the streets of the cities, and they die in the air. They lose, and they're in prison. But their dreams didn't die there. Today, that battle for freedom continues, more important than ever. And it has become a battle of ideas. It has become a battle of education. And today, these dreamers that dream of freedom are going to continue that fight together with their children, grandchildren, and friends. And this museum that we're going to build here is going to be a memorial to those people that died and that gave everything for freedom. And it's going to be a classroom also. It's going to be a cornerstone of the battle for freedom. And I ask all of you here, I thank you for being here, and I ask you to join us shoulder to shoulder and help us take this dream to a reality. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to introduce the people who are going to conduct this meeting. Carlos Luis, who is the engine room behind all the efforts we're doing here. Carlos is the son of René Luis, who was a member of the 3rd Battalion. And Claudia Puig. Claudia is the daughter of Manuel Puig, Ñongo Puig, who was a member of the infiltration teams, and he was executed during the Bay of Pigs. And both of them, Carlos is the president of the Legacy Group, and Claudia is the director of the Legacy Group. Thank you.
Good morning to all, and thank you, Rafael. You've been a tremendous leader to all of us, and we've learned a lot from you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on this momentous occasion. I'm Carlos Luis, and like Rafael's son, I'm the son of Brigade veteran René Luis, and I'm also president of the Bay of Pigs Museum and Library. It is a privilege to stand here before you especially in the presence of our distinguished brigade veterans and also our honored guest. Today's groundbreaking is the next phase of the preservation of one of the most historical events of the Cuban people and their fight for freedom. The values and bravery of our beloved veterans will never be forgotten. This is due to the tireless work of the veterans, board members, community supporters, and those in government who have embodied and supported us in the cause. This museum is symbolic of our continued fight for the freedom of the Cuban people and the preservation of the democratic goals embodied by those who sacrificed everything for their country. I must also acknowledge some remarkable individuals who have stood alongside us in this journey. To our museum board members, past and present, whose dedication, passion, and shared enthusiasm have been remarkable, we thank you. Museum board members, could you please stand? All museum members, could you please stand? And please join me in applauding for their commitment. We'd also like to extend our deep gratitude to those public officials whose unwavering support have been invaluable. We would like to thank Governor DeSantis, Congressman Carlos Jimenez, Speaker Designate of the Florida House of Representatives, Danny Perez. Speaker Designate Perez's impact on the brigade has been immeasurable. He has played a substantial role in this project, and his passion for the Cubans' freedom is impressive. Thank you also to Senator Ana Maria Rodriguez and also to State House Rep. Alex Rigo. These great legislators also led the support of our cause at the state level, and we're extremely grateful for all they have done. We would also like to thank Miami-Dade Mayor Levine Cava, who throughout her time in office has never failed to support the brigade and the offers and the efforts for the new museum. Also instrumental to the cause is Miami-Dade Commissioner Eileen Higgins and her Chief of Staff, Maggie Fernandez. They both have been crucial in delivering great support for the museum and the project since day one. They're true friends, and we love you guys. Lastly, we'd like to thank City of Miami Commissioners Joe Carollo and Manolo Reyes. They've been strong advocates for the brigade throughout their careers. Thank you so much. We also like to give a special thanks to Catherine Fernandez Rondo. Her father, Carlos Benitez Fernandez, helped form the first Veterans Association, and so we're truly grateful for the Fernandez family. The steadfast support of all these government officials have been a source of strength for the brigade. Their regular outreach and genuine concern for our well-being has demonstrated their profound commitment. Today, as we break ground on this museum, we embark on a new chapter in honoring the history and ensuring that the legacy of the 2506 Brigade veteran ensures for generations to come. Together, let us celebrate this milestone and look forward to the future with hope and pride. Thank you all for your unwavering support Lastly, on behalf of all Cuban Americans, I would like to thank the Brigade for their committing the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom. You have all been a source of pride for us and truly represent the best of our community and who we are. Please enjoy this wonderful event. I will turn it over to my fellow board member, Claudia Puig.
Wow. Bienvenidos todos. Gracias por acompañarnos. I wanted to first start by thanking Carlos Luis under his leadership and the guidance of Rafael, which has been instrumental. Their unwavering commitment and drive by this board to get this project going and has been under your leadership. I never envisioned, and I'm very thrilled today to be a witness and be able to be part of that. So I'm thankful to God that He has put me at this point in my life here to be able to share this monumental moment with all of you that have really, I've seen you pick up your sleeves and really go for it and tell that association, you deserve this and a lot more to honor your bravery that you deserve. And you, Rafael and Luis, are going to see this through to the end. It's going to be beautiful. And today, so ladies and gentlemen, today we stand here at the threshold of an important milestone. We break ground for the museum that will commemorate the sacrifices of those who, like my father and mother, gave everything in the pursuit of liberty to save their country. They gave it all. My father, Manuel Nyong'o Puig, and my mother, Ofelia Arango, were a beautiful, loving young couple, very much in love with each other and with their 4 small children. But they became worried about their homeland, so they went underground. They wanted to be part of it. They knew what was happening. They were early to detect. And they wanted to go underground, preparing for the invasion. So my father became part of the infiltration team, along with 6 other brave men, including Rogelio González Corso, alias Francisco, the internal leader, and Sori Marin, the external leader. They went underground to prepare this invasion. Shortly before the invasion, my mother and my father were arrested and captured together in a clandestine meeting. By this time, my other 2 uncles, Rino Puig and Eduardo Arango, were already in prison, condemned each to 10 and 15 years. And my Aunt Iliana was sent to hard labor in a stone quarry. During that time of the invasion, we also had my cousin Humberto Cortina, who was invading, who was shot and wounded during that time, and my uncle, Nestor Carbonell, who was on another ship invading as part of the invasion of the Brigada. So it was a very dark time in our life. And during the invasion, as the American support wavered, my father and mother were brought forth. And my father was executed by the firing squad, along with the other 6. And my mother was condemned to prison to endure the hardships and reality of political imprisonment. And at this time, the executions were nonstop. This was at the beginning, and I have so many memories of people telling me how you would start early in the evening and they would go all night executing innocent lives constantly. And a lot of them died, most of them, including my dad, died diciendo, "Viva Cristo Rey, viva Cuba Libre." That's how all of our men faced the firing squad. Viva Cristo Rey y viva Cuba Libre. There were some marked by we were all marked our lives by their profound commitment to freedom and justice. We grew up in luto. I can't say it in Spanish, it's a Spanish word. In mourning, I know. We were all, because we had lost everything and had no men. They were all in prison or hurt or wounded or put away. So we grew up into my 20s. My family basically was in luto. And political prisoners finally started to come home. My family story, this is the truth though, my family is only one story of many, many. I appreciate Ninoska has a different story every week on her show because we cannot forget. So imagine, this is just one single story. We can all go on. Everybody sitting here, all of you have stories. I'm sitting here across the martyrs that lost their life and the heroes that are alive with us today, that are still with us. Rafael, un remero, a rower, just like my dad. My dad was a rower, an Olympic rower. These were lives that were marked by profound commitment to freedom and justice. And my family story, like I said, is only one of those that will be represented here. This museum is important to make sure that their sacrifices were not in vain, for they have ignited the flame of hope and the pursuit of liberty in our hearts. Because I know how many times I ask myself, wow, what a price to pay, and how it ruined so many lives and changed so many things, and it was still in vain, but it isn't. The fight for liberty is never in vain. The museum will be a sanctuary of remembrance and a beacon of hope. It will preserve their stories, all our stories, of countless others who fought and suffered for the cause of freedom. It will serve as a testament to the resiliency of the human spirit and a reminder that the struggle for liberty is a timeless and universal endeavor. By commemorating their sacrifice, we honor their memories and reaffirm our commitment to the ideals that they hold dearly. This museum, very important, and like Yuli knows here, will educate future generations about the price of freedom and inspire them to cherish and protect it. So there's much more to than just a gathering of the past and history telling the truth, but also to educate our future generations to never forget and to learn from this situation. The Bay of Pigs regrettably marked our lives and all Cubans forever, and solidified the communist dictatorship that controls Cuba and violates basic freedoms of its people to this day. Thank you to all of you for joining us in this significant moment. I know it's not easy, 10 o'clock on a Friday, but I have to say, despite the tragedies that we all endured, despite the Cuban tragedy, we were grateful for this country that took us in and preserved our values of faith, family, and justice. Thank you for joining us. Together we will ensure the legacy and courage and sacrifice that will never be forgotten. We can never let this legacy be forgotten. And as Ninoska has said so well, there is a huge responsibility on our generation. We are the last generation who lived it. And the truth must be told, and to create this legacy should be a priority for all of us. God bless this country and preserve our values of family, faith, and freedom. Thank you.
Next speaker is Ana Maria Rodriguez, Senator for Florida 40th District.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just want to say, the legislature was so successful this year in obtaining $1 million to help build this small testament to what you all have done to these giants, these men and women who were in the trenches, and this is just a small appreciation for their legacy, and we just want to thank you again for everything that you've done and for those who perished. defending our country, defending Cuba, what would have been the freedom of Cuba. With that, I know we're going to have a check presentation momentarily, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my father, who has inspired me day after day since I was a child to preserve the memory of our great Cuba, the Cuba that all of us remember. I never stepped foot in Cuba, but when I think of Cuba, I think of a free Cuba and the Cuba that one day we will see again. We cannot lose that. And again, this museum is going to be a beacon of light, a beacon of hope for our children and grandchildren, so that one day they can see Cuba free again one day. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Ana Maria Rodriguez. Next, we would like to have Alex Rizzo give a few words. He's a representative for Florida's 112th district.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. It's an honor to work with Senator Rodriguez on the appropriation, and there is more coming, more that we will do. It's an honor to be able to serve in the House of Representatives every single day, but you really take pride in certain acts that we do. This appropriation is one of them. I'm honored to work with such people like the Senator, like the Foundation. There are people here that have worked tirelessly every time that we talk about pieces of education, pieces that will commemorate heroes and freedom fighters around the world in the struggle for freedom. We have some of them here. Representative Alina Garcia, former representative, now clerk and comptroller of the courts, Juan Fernandez Barquin. We work with commissioners like Commissioner Higgins, like Rob Gonzalez, like Kevin Cabrera, that is always fighting for freedom. Commissioner Joe Carollo, always present. And a veteran, someone who serves this country, serves Florida, drops mics when it's time to go. Senator Brian Avila, my brother. So it's an honor every single day, and it will be an honor to continue to carry pieces of appropriation and legislation like this that carry on a legacy. But perhaps, certainly the most humbling honor is to stand in the presence of heroes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Alex Rizzo. Next, we have the great Miami-Dade County Mayor, Daniela Levine Cabo. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm your County Mayor, Daniela Levine Cava, and I'm one of the gringas most supportive of this wonderful occasion. My compatriot, Commissioner Eileen Higgins, and she and I together made sure that the County Commission invested in this beautiful place. So very, very grateful, yes. So how beautiful to be here as the Bay of Pigs Museum is breaking ground on a new chapter. We've been inside, I can't wait to go back, but here we are together celebrating the hard work of so many to bring this day to fruition, to honor the lives and the sacrifices of all the veterans and all of those who are still fighting for a free, strong, and democratic Cuba. Yes. So, with thanks to all of our elected leaders, our community leaders who are here today, I want to do a special call out to Dr. Mena, to Rafael Montalvo, and of course to Carlos Luis for your leadership in getting us here. And this is a testament to the fact that across our differences, we come together in Miami-Dade County. We're not just diverse, we're inclusive. Yes, thank you. And so today, we all celebrate this day. So on behalf of the almost 3 million residents of Miami-Dade County, we're here in support. And we know that the Bay of Pigs represented the best and the finest of heroism. The fact that there was an unyielding spirit for those who were fighting for freedom and democracy, and so many who fought with their lives, and who have been personally affected by this tragic history. And so this museum stands as a testament to remind us of those sacrifices and the resilience, because we're still fighting here and in Cuba. We're still fighting. Yes. And the enduring bonds between Miami-Dade County and Cuba, because we are the recipients of those who have fled and are fighting now from our shores. We in Miami-Dade County have been transformed into the most dynamic international cultural destination for freedom because they have come to our shores. And for that, I am deeply grateful. And we return the thanks to you for doing so much to transform our community for the better. And so thank you to everyone who's made the expansion possible today, and know that the Bay of Pigs will live on not just in the hearts of those who were directly affected, but all of us. And history is for us to learn, improve, and continue our fight for more freedoms. So we are going to pledge to you that Miami-Dade County will be part of the ongoing struggle, and we will support those here and in Cuba who are working so hard, with so much strength and persistence and with support to make sure that Cuba will be free. Thank you. Thank you for the honor.
Thank you so much, Mayor Levine Cava. Beautiful words. Next is a true friend of ours, District 5 County Commissioner Eileen Higgins.
Well, good morning, everybody. I don't know about you, but to me, this is a very special day. It's emotional too to be here as we officially break ground on the new home of the Bay of Pigs Museum and Library. It's especially meaningful to me because my family, like you, have a long history of fighting for the freedom of the United States of America. Let me see if I get this right, great, 6 of them, grandfather, fought in the Revolutionary War to create this great nation. And then my father is an Air Force vet who served in Vietnam with many of you from the Brigade, again, in the fight against communism that doesn't just happen in Cuba, but happens all around the world. So, por eso es natural que su organización es tan cerca de mi corazón. And I am so grateful for the friendships we have formed and for the lessons you have taught me. I sometimes feel like you're now part of my family. So some years ago, how did we get started? Some years ago, Ricky Sanchez, my favorite District 5 resident, reached out to our office, and you know, it's kind of hard to say no to Ricky Sanchez for those of you that know him. And so we immediately knew that we needed to work, particularly with you, Carlos Luis, to come up with a fundraising plan to make sure this museum lasts forever and that the Brigada is never forgotten. And it was you, me, and the indefatigable Maggie Fernandez, stand up, Maggie, who worked so much to put this plan together. And so let's think back on all that we've achieved since those early days. It's really been an amazing partnership between Miami-Dade County and the state of Florida, which we just heard from. We have raised enough money on the county commission at very first day to make sure the museum kept its doors open. Job 1. Job 2 was to make sure the museum and library has ongoing annual operating funds in the budget every year. We've done that. My colleagues on the county commission have supported me for that. That annual operating commitment means you have a fabulous museum director. Yuli, where are you? Stand up. So awesome. And then to the annoyance of Senator Rodriguez and Senator Avila and Rep. Alex Rizzo, I have been walking the halls in Tallahassee. I've got my sneakers on today to prove it, to make sure we got not just your first ever, but your second ever appropriation to support the museum. So 3 for 3. We're very happy about that. This museum makes its home in the beautiful District 5. I know my colleagues are here, but it really is the best district in Miami-Dade County. And I was very proud to provide direct support from our office and $500,000 for a really beautiful expansion of digital resources, so we actually get to hear the voices of the veterans and listen to their personal stories. So very proud of that. But people, the work is not done. The brigade still needs to raise a little money to finish the museum and build out all the exhibits. So I hope you brought your checkbooks, because I did. I am proud to announce today, here's my present and my surprise for you, Carlos Luis. I'm proud to announce that the Miami-Dade County Commission will be awarding another $1 million to... So that gets you closer to the finish line. So anyway, I brought my checkbook, people. Get yours out. And to my colleagues, Kevin Cabrera and Rob Gonzalez, always supporting this museum in my little district. I appreciate all of your friendships. La historia de la Brigada 2506 no se puede olvidar. Es una parte importante y también triste de la historia de nuestra nación. Cuando olvidamos nuestra historia, no podemos aprender de ella. Cuando no reflexionamos sobre nuestra historia, no podemos comprometernos a hacerlo mejor. It is important and meaningful for our brigade veterans to see their legacy preserved, because it is important and meaningful for younger generations to know, to come here, to understand that the fight, the Cuban fight for freedom and liberty, one that continues, unfortunately, to this very day. So congratulations, a wonderful job.
Wow, wow. When I mean the true friends of the brigade, I mean it in every sense of the word. When we say since our first day we met, and thanks again to Ricky Sanchez for allowing us to meet and bringing them over. You brought two angels here who had been extremely, extremely supportive of the brigade. Thank you so much, Eileen Higgins. Truly your friend, Maggie. Shout out to you. We love you. Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to introduce District 3 City Commissioner Joe Carollo.
Good morning. Most of our colleagues in government have done an excellent job in explaining why we're here, explaining our feelings in English. If you would excuse me, I'm going to explain them in Spanish. El día de hoy estamos reunidos aquí en algo sumamente importante para un pueblo oprimido. Hoy es un día de esperanza, de alegría y un día de historia y de honrar. Me gustaría empezar por recordar y honrar al brigadista que fue el que fundó y dio el museo original aquí a la izquierda de esta casa, Raúl Masvidal, que gracias a él se empezó ese proceso. Inmediatamente en la comisión de Miami y con la moción de entonces un joven comisionado y el apoyo de un alcalde histórico, Maurice Ferré, se aprobaron los fondos para empezar a renovar este museo hoy en día. Y aquí tenemos algo que la nueva generación tiene una obligación de mantenerlo, de llevarlo adelante. Por eso me alegra tanto ver tantas caras nuevas, hijos, hijas, familiares de los brigadistas que están unidos a este proyecto para que esa bandera de la brigada, esa antorcha de libertad, se siga llevando a las próximas generaciones y se le siga explicando al pueblo americano y al mundo quién eran los brigadistas, por qué fueron a Bahía de Cochino, qué pasó en Cuba. Una historia de jóvenes que venían de todas ramas, jóvenes que unía dos principales causas: la libertad que querían para su patria, ese amor que tenían por su patria natal. Jóvenes que antes de Bahía de Cochino tuvieron su primer triunfo militar, que muchos no lo saben. Cuando estaban entrenando en Guatemala, los comunistas trataron de dar un golpe de Estado en Guatemala y las tropas más pegadas eran los brigadistas que estaban entrenando en Guatemala. El gobierno americano le pidió que intervinieran y gracias a esos brigadistas fue que Guatemala no cayó bajo el comunismo. Después de Bahía de Cochino, fueron un grupo sustancial de brigadistas que liberaron al Congo en África del comunismo. Ahí salió el Che con el rabo entre las patas hasta que otros brigadistas ayudaron a agarrarlo en Bolivia. Fueron brigadistas que después de Bahía de Cochino, cuando la dictadura castrista mandó más de 800 mercenarios a invadir a Honduras a través de Nicaragua, que formaron parte de las tropas americanas que lo pararon. Fueron brigadistas años después que también pelearon para enfrentarse contra el comunismo en Vietnam. Y varios perdieron su vida en esa guerra de liberación contra el comunismo. Fueron brigadistas los que enfrentaron a las tropas castristas en tantas partes del mundo. Hasta hubo un brigadista, me contó años atrás, un general israelita que fue asignado por nuestro gobierno cuando la famosa guerra del 67 en Israel, en donde Cuba había mandado unos 2,000 y pico a 4,000 mercenarios en Siria para invadir a Israel. Pero sin embargo, con tantos triunfos que tuvo la brigada, como expliqué antes de Vallejo Chino y después, en el lugar que más querían esos jóvenes, el lugar que más querían liberar, fueron traicionados. Y esa es la única razón por cual tantos millones de personas adentro y afuera de Cuba han tenido que sufrir tanto por el comunismo castrista. Como en Angola, en tantos lugares africanos. Fidel Castro y Raúl Castro en esos años convirtieron sus mercenarios cubanos en los proxies rusos, como Irán tiene ahora Hamas y Hezbollah, y regaron esa miseria por todo el mundo. Esa es la historia que tenemos un deber de este museo dejar saber. Una historia de coraje como pocas veces se ha visto en la historia militar del mundo. Hasta este día no se sabe de verdad cuántos de los mercenarios de Castro fueron matados por la brigada. Se estima más de 5,000. La única razón que no pudieron llegar a su objetivo de liberar a Cuba fue porque fueron traicionados. No fue suficiente cambiar el plan, el lugar donde iban a llegar, y lo metieron en un pantano donde no podían salir, y la parte de atrás estaba llena de reefs de coral, bien peligrosa. Pero después que lanzaron la invasión, le cortaron toda la fuerza aérea. Estaban supuestos a ir en 3 sorties con los aviones de Nicaragua hacia Cuba a liquidar la fuerza aérea cubana. Cancelaron las últimas 2 y la primera la cortaron a la mitad. Eso dio el comienzo del final para la brigada. De aquí hay que contar la historia de tantos jóvenes, como dije, de todas ramas, jóvenes de todo sector del pueblo cubano. La historia de los líderes de esa brigada, como Leiva, como San Román, como tantos de ellos, que lo único que querían era liberar su patria. Y por eso estaban dispuestos, a edad tan joven, a sacrificarlo todo. Y si no hubieran sido traicionados, la historia, no solo para nuestra gente, hubiera sido muy diferente, pero para otros millones por todo el mundo, que estos degenerados trajeron dolor, miseria, sufrimiento. Y sí, le agradecemos al presidente que fue responsable por ese fracaso, que lo sacó de las cárceles. Me imagino que la conciencia le dolía tanto que dio ese paso, pero a los que dejó en la cárcel fueron a millones de otros cubanos y a millones de las generaciones nuevas. Esos son la razón por cual tenemos que explicar aún más quién era la brigada, qué pasó, cuál era el objetivo, para liberar a los otros millones de cubanos que quedan en esa cárcel que se llama Cuba. A todos los brigadistas que no están con nosotros hoy, a todos los que están presentes, le agradecemos su coraje único en la historia militar mundial. Le agradecemos su amor por Cuba. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Joe Carollo. Next, we have Congressman Carlos Jimenez. I guess I'm going to speak in English, and then I'll do a couple of comments in Spanish. And for me, this is somewhat personal because I came here in November 13th of 1960. And if you go to my office in D.C., you'll see the telegram that my mother sent to her aunt, my great aunt, who was already here in Miami, saying that we'll be arriving on a national flight, I don't remember the number, tomorrow, and it was November 13th of 1960. Already here were my aunt and her uncle and some other relatives, and pretty soon after we got here, I was 6 at the time, when I turned 7 in January, a little bit afterwards, then, 3 of the members of my family that were living at 2485 Southwest 4th Street. That is my first place where I lived in Miami, 2485 Southwest 4th Street. And it's funny too because I was dropping off a friend of my granddaughter the other day, and I said, hey, I want to show you where I came from, Cuba, where I lived. And so I went there, and there was a guy was taking out his groceries, and I just stopped and I just said, hey, this is the first place that I lived in Miami. And the guy looked at me and he goes, yes, we know. Oh, okay. Yeah, we have a little plaque, Carlos Jimenez slept here. Not really, but anyway. In that, there was 21 people living in that house, and in that house there were 3 Bay of Pigs veterans. 2 of them were my cousins. One of them, Billy Muir, was my cousin's best friend, and they went off to the Bay of Pigs. And one of them came back, who never was able to get off, but 2 of them were actually captured. My cousin Humberto and Billy Muir were captured. And they were on the 18-wheeler. And they were held prisoner until they got freed. And so my cousin at the time, I think, was the 3rd youngest member of the brigade. I think he was 15 years old at the time. And now think about that. Okay, you're 15 years old, and Billy Muir must have been 16 or 17, and my other cousin was maybe 19 years old. And you're asked to, hey, we want you to go to, South America, we're going to train you, and then you're going to go and you're going to try to save your country. And you know what? That's exactly what they did. They tried to save their country. 2 of them were captured. They were brought back. And I asked my cousin at the time, I said, hey, what happened? And he said, we were winning until we ran out of bullets. So we ran out of bullets. And we ran out of bullets because they sank the 2 supply ships that were supposed to supply the invasion, and they sank the 2 supply ships because they didn't have the air cover that they were promised. And so I sometimes harken back and said, had they had that air cover, Cuba would be free, and then what would our lives be like? We'd be in a different place. I know a lot of us would be somewhere else. I wouldn't be here. But you have to really, this museum and library is going to tell the story of what happened. It's going to also honor the men that, fought for the freedom of Cuba. And I know that as long as as I am in public service, I will not stop until we do have a free Cuba. My mother and father never got to go back. And unfortunately, some of us, some people probably in this room will never go back. But a lot of us will go back because we will see a free Cuba. That is what we owe to the men that fought here, that fought there, and are being commemorated in this new museum and library. We owe that to them. We owe that to the people of Cuba. We owe that to the American people, actually, also, to have a free and democratic Cuba, because America has to be the beacon of freedom and democracy. We have to protect freedom and democracy in our hemisphere and around the world, but especially in our hemisphere. And we should not tolerate a regime that for over 60 years, has been oppressing its people and denying them basic human rights. So I know that I speak for the other Cuban American members of Congress when I say that we will not stop until we get this done, one way or the other. We need the right administration to get it done. We need the right people in Congress to get it done. But we got to get it done because, again, we owe it to the men that fought there, that were captured there, that died there, and we owe it to the Cuban people. And so, for me, it's a great honor to be here. I get memories of those days. I was just a little kid, but I still remember those days. I still remember them going off. I still remember them coming back. I still remember this city, the way it looked like 60 years ago. It doesn't look anything like, it looks like now, due to largely to the efforts of people that are in this room. And so, another thing I say when people ask me, hey, what's the difference between communism and democracy? 4 pictures, just 4 pictures. Havana, 1959, Miami, 1959, Havana today, Miami today. That's the difference. Same people, different system. This is when freedom works. That's what happens when you have communism. And that's why we need to bring freedom to those people so that one day, maybe Havana will look like Miami does today. So again, it's a great honor for being here. En español, yo vine aquí en noviembre del año 60. Todavía tengo el telegrama de cuando mi mamá le mandó a mi tía que íbamos a llegar aquí en Miami, y era 2485 Southwest 8th Street. Esa es la primera casa que vivimos ahí. Había 21 personas que estaban viviendo en esa casa, 3 de ellas eran brigadistas, 2 de ellos fueron capturados. Y por eso es para ellos y para los hombres que murieron en Playa Girón, también que fueron capturados, por eso es que yo estoy dedicado a hacer todo lo posible como miembro del Congreso o cualquier otra posición que yo tengo en el sector público para traer y traer la libertad de Cuba, para que un día las personas que viven en Cuba puedan venir aquí a ver este museo a las personas que estaban tratando de liberar a Cuba hace más de 60 años. Pero eso es algo que tenemos que hacer. Nunca deberemos y nunca vamos a olvidar a Cuba, nuestros compatriotas cubanos que viven ahí debajo de la dictadura, debajo de la opresión. Eso es algo que nunca podemos olvidar y tenemos que hacer todo posible para ver que un día todos nosotros podemos decir, bueno, el próximo año vamos a tener, como los judíos antes decían, el próximo año en Jerusalén, el próximo año en La Habana. Eso va a ser el objetivo de nosotros. Así que muchas gracias a todos, que Dios los bendiga. Thank you very much. May God bless you all. And viva Cuba Libre. Thank you so much, Congressman Jimenez. We got a tremendous guest today, a very special guest. She arranged her schedule to make sure she would be coming this morning, and it was a final thing she was able to do, but it meant so much to her that she made it happen. So it's a true honor to have Mrs. Catherine Fernandez Rondo here today. Thank you so much. Come on in. Her family is truly special to the Brigade.
Thank
Thank you, Carlos. Just a few words, because I've been listening to all these powerful stories, many that I know personally, and then to be reminded of the strength and the character that I know each and every one of you have. My father, for those of you that don't know, was one of the first Cuban-American lawyers in town. So he spoke both languages, and I grew up watching him work with all these families who had lost everything, the powerful stories that you all know, the powerful story that Claudia told, who's like a family to me and our family. And I just remember thinking, I want to do whatever I can in my small way to honor him. And what I saw growing up, the strength of these people, the losses, the compromises, the sacrifices, the strength that they had, the conviction in freedom and who they were. And then my father went on to become the first Cuban judge. And I would watch him again in court and how he would relate in Spanish. He was the first one to speak Spanish. And I then got the honor of swearing in the board, I think year after year, with Julio Rebul. I don't know if any of you remember him. And then in understanding who my father was, and the suffering that I saw all of my family and his family and our friends go through, he also was the lawyer for La Brigade 2506. And one day, and to show you how important this museum is in so many ways, the history, the legacy, I was in my house looking at a portrait of my father, and he didn't look happy there, hanging in my hallway. So I said, I know where you'll be happy. You'll be happy in the museum. And Carlos and the board and everyone, Teresita and everyone allowed me, Rafael, you were there, to bring his portrait to hang in the museum. To finish this off and why it is so important, this museum, I brought my son when he came back from California recently. He didn't understand the legacy. That museum came alive to him. We walked through that museum together. Claudia, you were there. She told her story. Those are real photographs. Those are real lives. Eileen Higgins, thank you for talking about telling the stories. You can hear it in the voices. And then, last but not least, I don't know if, I think many of you were there when our Speaker of the House, Danny Perez, was sworn in as the Speaker of the House. And I know Representative Alex Rizzo was there. Thank you for everything you've done. Senator Ana Maria Rodriguez, what you have done to support this. But if you could have heard this young man taking over the leadership of the legislature of this great state, talk about the Bay of Pigs and what it meant to Florida, to this community, that he's a young man in a powerful position telling this story. And that's why it's so powerful what you at the board have done. Thank you for your leadership, Rafael and Carlos and Felix and all of you. The stories that have come alive and will stay alive because of your leadership. And I want to thank all the elected officials that are here, all the ways in which our mayor, Daniela Levine Cava, Eileen Higgins, the way all of you have supported this. God bless you. Gracias por este honor de estar aquí contigo.
Thank you so much, and thank you for arranging your day to make sure to be here. You're truly special here at the Brigade. Thank you so much. Next, we have a guest here who's going to go ahead. You've seen this beautiful renderings that we've shown here in the front. And we thought, who better to describe what this is all about, the look and so forth, than our good friend Ivo Fernandez from the Modus Architectural Group.
Oh boy. Okay, so I'm gonna have to read some of these things, so apologize. Well, architects don't usually get to participate in all these events, right? All these wonderful people, all the people donating the money, the architect's usually in the back, and someone says, and thank you for the architect, and I'll kind of raise my hand in the back somewhere. So today is special because I get to speak I was asked to speak about the design of the building and what it meant to the brigade. A few years ago, Carlos Lewis here, my good friend, asked me to help him with the design of a building, of a museum for the Bay of Pigs. At first, it was just pretty much another project. We do a lot of work around town, a lot of affordable housing, a lot of great commercial buildings. And then I met the veterans. I spent countless nights here with them, very long nights, eating pastelitos and croquetas, and heard the amazing stories that these gentlemen had, and it brought some incredible inspiration to myself and to our team. This was not just any project. This was a project that was the opportunity to tell stories for generations to come. The project is very close and dear to me. I don't have any family members that were participating in the brigade, but I actually live 2 blocks from here, and I rode my bike in this neighborhood. I went to Shenandoah, I went to Miami High. I'm a product of this neighborhood. And Mr. Jimenez, I lived at 1787 Southwest 7th Street, apartment number 7. Right there. I'm also a first-generation Cuban American whose parents had to flee Cuba because of the communist dictatorship. I knew how important this project was to the veterans. I knew listening to the stories firsthand was just the most amazing thing I had ever heard. Stories that I really had never had a chance to learn about in school. And so it brought just everything to life. I knew then that the building was not just a building to display photos and artifacts. It had to tell the story of heroism and sacrifice these men made for the freedom of their country. In my initial presentation to the board, I presented 2 schemes. The first was a building in Spanish Mediterranean style, which I'm sure everybody knows and you've seen and grew up in Miami for years. But I knew it was in the right direction. That style spoke more of the history of Cubans' forefathers, not the Cuba that was destroyed by a tyrant. The second option was what we call tropical modern architecture, a style that I believe really embodies what Cuba was and what it would have been today. The building design had to fit the residential scale of Little Havana neighborhood, but it also had to be a monument for what Cuba represented at the time. A flourishing Caribbean country that was truly the gateway to the Americas. At the time, Cuba was in a period of great economic prosperity. Havana was a vibrant, bustling city known for its rich culture and architecture. I wanted the building design to mark the moment in time and allow veterans to tell their story. The reaction that night confirmed it was the right direction. At one point, one of the veterans mentioned that the building reminded him of his home in Havana, which was taken away from him and his family. I knew the right decision and the right design was made, and we were going to leave a mark. I want to acknowledge my design team and our firm. I want to acknowledge Ross, Duarte, Relvi, Moronta, and the rest of the Modus team, my business partner Robert Morset, for the support and the hard work that you guys did during the design process, during the permitting process. I want to finally thank Carlos Lewis for dragging me into this. I'm very proud of this. This is definitely a legacy for our firm. I want to thank the veterans, and I want to let you know how humbled we are that you allowed us, Modus Architects, myself, my team, to be a part of history and the legacy of the Bay of Pigs. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ivo. Next, I would like to have Julie Mena, our museum executive director, come up and say a few words. Please come up. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. The good news is I'm the last speaker before closing remarks. Today marks a significant milestone in our journey to honor and preserve the legacy of the brave individuals who took part in the Bay of Pigs invasion. As the executive director of the Bay of Pigs Museum and Library, I am deeply honored to stand before you at this groundbreaking ceremony for our new museum. A place dedicated not only to history, but also to the enduring values of human rights and democracy. While today's groundbreaking signals the foundation upon which this new historic building will reside, where we honored the founding members from the 1980s association in the front that you could see there, the foundation now, especially with our amazing legacy board and our heroes, our Veterans Association, that education is the future foundation of this museum. The museum will be more than just a repository of artifacts. It will be a vibrant space where history comes alive through experiential learning. Anybody in education in the room knows that we love experiential learning. Fostering a deeper understanding of the principles of freedom and democracy. I want to thank a couple of individuals while I'm up here. I want to acknowledge my parents, Leonel and Magali Mena, for teaching me to value faith, country, patriotism, and just to be a good, decent human being. I want to thank the veterans for taking a chance on me, as well as our legacy board for hiring me as their executive director. And last week, my president, Rafael Montalvo, said some beautiful words to me. He called me his sister in arms, and it really touched me. And as a lifelong, I'm not that old, but I'm not a spring chicken either, educator, and I'm passionate about education. I was teaching my stuffed animals with chalk when I was a kid, and I can't believe that I'm here to make sure that through education and everything it represents, working with our public schools, private schools, with the university, that the legacy of the Bay of Pigs, what it means, and what these individuals sacrificed, the martyrs and our living veterans, will never be forgotten. We're ready to be, we are a pillar in the community, but to keep immersing ourselves as community partners, a museum that is not only honored because of our veterans, but also is very useful in to our community members, your children, your grandchildren, and I just say thank you. It's a joyous occasion, while at the same time we reflect on those that lost their lives and the recent veterans that we have lost as well. I want to quickly just say thank you to the operations team that keeps the museum open every day. I couldn't do it without them. To Carilyn Fernandez, whose father is a Brigade member. Cari's so delicate and wonderful, the way she speaks to our veterans and just does daily tasks. Luke Escarra is our new docent, doing a fabulous job with fabulous reviews on Google. And also Andres Manso and Santiago Hunt, part of our staff that are there every day. And volunteers like Maggie Fernandez, Prieto, and Carmen Cecilia, Joseph Yever, and just a bunch of people that, you know, sometimes when we need help, you know, I just pick up the phone and they help. And I'm just so humbled and so grateful. And just, I'll leave you with these words. I'm so touched by our veterans and their motto: we will never abandon our homeland. Jamás abandonaremos a nuestra patria. Thank you.
Julie, those were beautiful words. Thank you so much. We're extremely blessed to have Julie Mena as our director, as you can tell. I would also like to thank Julie, Cari Fernandez, Maria Teresa Zorrilla, and Luke Escarra for the great work in setting up this beautiful event today. Thank you. Before I close, I would like to mention all those who were instrumental in getting us where we're at here today. First, the board would like to thank the law firm of Greenberg Torrig, and their 3 exceptional attorneys. And where are they at? Iris Escarras, there you go, Carlos Lago, and Carlos Diaz. They helped us with all the legal work concerning this project, and all this work was done pro bono. Thank you so much. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Also, Ivo Fernandez and the Modus Architectural team, you guys were fantastic. We also had Tony Verona with the AOV Consulting Group. He was our plan expediter, did a fantastic job. Next, I'd like to thank Cesar Casamayor and Anthony Proenza from I2K Imaging for their outstanding imaging and print work. You can see all the renderings they did here in the museum. The board is also thanking Mena Catering for sponsoring the delicious hors d'oeuvres to make today's special. Thank you, Mena Catering. We would also like to thank Dan Hazel and Franz Tebet with the Andale Group and for their leadership in this construction project. I'd like to end this message with just a mission, which is we're starting this very special project to preserve the history of the 25 Brigade Museum. And we're just beginning. We urge all of you, second, third generation, the community out there, to get involved. We need your help. We will make this the most beautiful museum in town for generations to come, and no one ever will forget them. Thank you. God bless America. Viva Cuba Libre. One final blessing from Father Alberto. Father Alberto, he's going to do a final blessing. And then we have the groundbreaking. Check presentation? Excuse me, Father, give me a second. We have a check presentation.
Father's going to bless the check. No. You're the head of the delegation. Very well, Carlos. On behalf of the state of Florida, we know that there are other elected officials that have committed to bringing more funds to this, as they have in the past, and this is just the first of a few more. This is $1 million that has been approved in our budget for this year that goes to the building of this historic museum.
Thank you so much, Alex and Anna. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Where do you want to? There you go. You did it? Okay. Beautiful.
Un día en la unidad sin convertirlo. ¿Cómo? Felicidad. Un día sin convertirlo.
Un día. Imagínense si él coge el micrófono. Wow.
Me llamó ayer, está en North Carolina.
One final blessing.
No me obliguen a ponerme violento. En primer lugar, in the first place, I would like to say that I am not the one who is going to bless this project. God is the only one who blesses, because what God says is a blessing to all of us. And what we're here is we invoke the blessing of God for this project, the blessing of God on all the people who are here, especially the members of the brigade, who are such an outstanding example for all of us. So I ask you to take a moment in silence to ask the Lord to give us His blessing this morning. God the Father, we ask you to bless this project, bless all the people who are here, and bless us in the years to come, so that we can continue to keep this legacy alive for the future generations, so that nobody will forget what these people have done. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. This concludes our groundbreaking event. Thank you. Thank you. Huh?